The Sonic trailer makes it very apparent that they're only trying to appeal to children. And it is kind of insulting to anyone's intelligence who actually is a fan of it and wanted to see it, and then they're like, oh, they thought Sonic fans were 10 years old.
My childhood, right?
Yeah.
I can't have my childhood destroyed by producers and directors just throwing bullshit out there.
How could you get something so simple, so basic, so wrong?
Sonic's face just looks really bad.
I am at a loss for words. Really, I am. I really want this movie to be good. I really did. I was gonna give him the best. His design looks fucking awful. And you can't deny that. If someone denies that this character design with Sonic standing there like this, if you deny that this looks decent, if you're gonna say that this looks decent, you're lying to yourself. You are lying to yourself. This is supposed to be a movie about Sonic the fucking Hedgehog, and that does not look like Sonic the Hedgehog. You cannot tell me that's Sonic the Hedgehog. That is just a blue thing.
How did we get there? Well, we have to go back a couple months. I think it's safe to say that this was a concerning day for the Sonic the Hedgehog community. Seeing your favorite fictional character with scary details that you can't fully see is, well, scary. A protruding beady eye, the lack of the iconic shoes, and a relatively muscular physique, it did raise concern. For me, when it was revealed, I wasn't just concerned, I was terrified. And I'd even go as far as saying that I was depressed. Along with the poster were interviews with the creative team. The one that struck a chord most were the words of Tim Miller, director of Deadpool and executive producer on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. A lot of his statements were about making Sonic look realistic, making him feel like he could live in the real world. But the thing is, Sonic is a cartoon character. He was modeled after Mickey Mouse and Felix the Cat. Those types of characters don't really belong in the real world. But I will say, a lot of what he said did make sense. I don't think Sega was entirely happy with the eye decision, but those sorts of things you go, it's gonna look weird if we don't do this. But everything is a discussion, and that's kind of the goal, which is to only change what's necessary and stay true to the rest of it. He's not gonna feel like a Pixar character would, because I don't think that's the right aesthetic to make it feel like part of our world. I completely agree with that statement. I don't think you should have this Sonic in the real world. It would look extremely out of place and off-putting, especially with the kind of movie that they're trying to make. They're not making Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Looney Tunes back in action. They're making a Bumblebee, using CGI and not 2D animation. Now back to what he said about Sega not being entirely happy with the eye decision. We did see what looked to be a protruding green eye. I was terrified thinking that it would look like a real hedgehog. Spoiler alert, it didn't, but I was still on the edge, as I'm sure a lot of my fellow fans and colleagues were. On my personal Instagram, I expressed my disappointment, but after sitting back and reflecting, I remained optimistic. But you're gonna be getting plenty of different versions of Sonic, and I think that's what we need to get accustomed to. I think the movie's shaping up to be really good so far. This day, the Sonic the Hedgehog community and the internet in general went to hell. The obvious backlash was against Sonic the Hedgehog's design. I think it's safe to say that a good majority of the Sonic the Hedgehog fanbase and internet were very disappointed. I'm an optimistic person. I am a positive person overall, and that's what I try to bring to the Sonic community, positivity. Sometimes that's just not possible, but I did do it for this movie. But at the same time, opinions change. And looking back on this is not a great trailer. Obviously, the design of Sonic the Hedgehog was the main issue, but there are other issues with this trailer that some people have failed to mention. The lack of wit and charm, more jokes missing than hitting, the showcasing of the more bland cinematography in the film, and two conflicting tones, trying to be taken seriously and trying to be a joke at the same time. I had no clear idea of what the movie actually was. I was not asking for a plot synopsis, but I at least wanted to know where this story was going to take me. Now, in terms of the backlash, I just have to address this. I think that some of the backlash was completely respectable. Criticism is always welcome in anything. But at the same time, when you're harassing the filmmakers and the people making the movie, that is a childish, immature, and outright horrible thing to do. That's just straight up being a bad person. Now, the biggest gripe against the movie was the design. I've stated this many times, but I think that some people need to look at the bigger picture. Yes, the design was not good, but there's so much more that goes into a movie. I feel like a lot of Sonic fans who don't understand how film works are going at this because the only thing they know is Sonic. They've played video games, watched TV shows, read comic books, where Sonic looks like either this or this for the most part. So when a movie comes around and the only thing you can really comprehend is the appearance of Sonic, that's the only thing you can really criticize, because that's the only thing that you have complete comprehension of, is how Sonic is supposed to look. But when it comes to the screenplay, the directing, the acting, the score of the film, which will help the narrative, the overall pacing, which is reliant on the screenplay and the direction of the film, not to mention cinematography, how the film will look whether it's shot on digital or film, that's what makes a movie. That's what you have to look at and criticize. And while yes, Sonic was ugly as hell, you have to look at the other elements as well. That can't be the only thing you criticize. Because while yes, your opinion and criticism is valid, but if you continue to only criticize one thing, that valid criticism will eventually become redundant. So, with all of this backlash, what happened after? Well, a lot. First things first, Jeff Fowler came out on Twitter and said that they will change the Sonic the Hedgehog design, and they are going to work on it as fast as they can. Now, this was fantastic news. While I was still concerned about other elements with the film, addressing and fixing the #1 complaint was a big thumbs up from almost everybody. And while yes, I was very excited, I'm also nervous about the future. This is a very uncommon thing in Hollywood. They don't have to listen to you whatsoever. They spent $90 million on this movie, minus the marketing budget. They didn't have to spend an extra $5 to make the character look different. If they wanted to, this movie could have released over a month ago, but they wanted to make the fans happy, and they wanted to fix something because something clearly was wrong. This did not look good, and there was also another component to it that could help the film overall that we'll get to later. But I just want to address this real quick, because it's been brought up before by multiple outlets. This could give the fans an unhealthy feeling of ownership, a feeling that they own Sonic, a feeling that they know what's best for Sonic, opposed to the companies that actually own Sonic. And while yes, I'm sure that there are hundreds of fans out there who could do better jobs than current people working at a Sega office, that still doesn't mean that you know what is best or that they should do what you want them to do. But as long as this feeling of ownership doesn't stretch beyond where it has gone, I think that this was an amazing outcome. I do think it's fantastic that everybody made their voices heard, because it did turn out for the best. In the month of the original release date, Paramount released the new official trailer for the Sonic movie, and it was an overwhelming success. It'd be hard-pressed to find 5 different negative reactions to this. The #1 issue was fixed. Sonic looks like Sonic. And not only does he look like Sonic and he looks good, he just looks really cute. Not only that, but the trailer had a faster pace. It was super cute and charming. It seemed to have heart towards it, and it gave a better sense of what the movie actually was about. This was an absolutely amazing day to be a Sonic fan. Seeing something that you've grown up loving being treated with the respect and care that it deserves is something really cool to see, and it honestly made me really emotional. It was just a really well-crafted trailer. They knew exactly what they wanted to show, and they did it well. The fan response to this was absolutely beautiful. Seeing everybody so happy and overjoyed is something not that common every day in the Sonic community, but it was one of those days, because the Sonic community are the people who made this happen. Without the fan outcry, this would not be a thing, and without them, it wouldn't look this good. Now, earlier I mentioned that doing a redesign and delay would work in this film's favor, even if it didn't look this good. Now, why is this? Well, did you notice all the news articles coming out when this trailer was released? The positive connotations used around the Sonic character design and trailer as a whole have really benefited this movie. It might sound strange, but delaying this film might be one of the best marketing decisions ever by a studio. Just the story of this movie and the fact that they delayed it just has kept people talking forever. Now that you add Baby Sonic on top of that, along with other stuff such as merchandise and promotions, Paramount has cleverly orchestrated what could possibly be a giant commercial success. This movie has been perfectly timed. From the poster, to the first trailer, to the announcement of a redesign and delay, and now to the new trailer. It's been a ride for everyone. Everyone likes an underdog. Everyone likes a redemption story. And the Sonic movie, before release, has already been redeemed. It wasn't just the fans. It wasn't just Paramount. It was both of us, Paramount and the fans, coming together, recognizing a mistake, and acting on it. Sonic is important. Sonic is an icon. Everyone knew that, and they knew that something needed to be done. This is the very first theatrical Sonic the Hedgehog movie. The Sonic the Hedgehog franchise will be forever impacted by this film, and while we're under a month and a half away, the impact so far has been amazing. In my opinion, it's one of the greatest stories of 2019. People coming together in anger, and then coming together in sheer happiness. It's been a hell of a ride, and that's why the Sonic the Hedgehog movie has already been redeemed.